Hello and welcome back to Bookish. Today I want to do my top 10 books of 2018. I have struggled with this video in part because I wasn't sure how to make up my top 10. Is it my top 10 favorite books of the year, just the ones I enjoyed reading the most? Is the ones I thought were the most important? Is the ones I thought were the most perfect? So in the end I just went with kind of my gut feeling, the top 10 books I read this year in terms of just my favorite. And another reason why I struggled with this video is that, as I'm sure you've noticed in lots of my review videos and other places, that once I start talking about books, particularly books I like, I have a tendency to go on for a long time. So what I did was I'm going to limit myself to essentially a one-sentence review, which I've written on my little handy-dandy post-it notepad here. And so I'm going to give a one-sentence review of each of my top 10 choices, keeping in mind, of course, that I chose these to be in my top 10, so I overall am suggesting they're of really high quality. So anyway, getting down to it, the first book on my list at number 10 is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This book was a surprise to me. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. I was surprised at how technically proficient I thought Celeste Ng was as a writer. So here's my one-sentence review. Asian mother and daughter move to wealthy suburbs, form relationship with wealthy family, secrets revealed, families destroyed, and pyromania. There you go. That was my one-sentence review of Little Fires Everywhere. Number 9 book on my top 10 list is Praise of Folly by Erasmus. So I read this because in an effort to read more classics, and particularly more classics with historical importance, I decided to read Erasmus first, and I was really surprised and delighted with it. And here's my one-sentence review. Most educated man in Renaissance Europe mocks church and royalty in delightfully biting satire. Number 8 on my list was this collection of stories called Last Stories from William Trevor. You may know William Trevor is one of my favorite writers, and I happen to think he is one of the true masters of the short story form, and this, I believe, is his last collection of stories. So here's my one-sentence review. Final collection from the master of the short story. Pain, passion, pity of plain people, intensely felt but hidden from view. Number 7 on my list of favorite books from 2018 was La Rose by Louise Erdrich. Erdrich is a writer who I'm really looking forward to reading more of, and I'm really impressed with her work, which frequently involves, in a lot of her books at least, involves the relationship and the struggles of Native Americans living on reservation land and that kind of border culturally, physically between Native American society and American society. So here's my one-sentence review of La Rose by Louise Erdrich. A tragedy divides two families, and an unconventional solution provides no relief until the spirits intervene. At number 6 on my favorite books of 2018 is The Unvanquished by William Faulkner. Faulkner was one of my favorite writers, and at one point in my life I tried to read as much Faulkner as I possibly could, and I've read a lot. This was a reread, buddy read I did with Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics, and I really enjoyed this, and it really provoked a lot of thoughts in me. So here's my one-sentence review of The Unvanquished by William Faulkner. The Civil War and Reconstruction come to Mississippi, bringing change, and those that stick to the old ways suffer the consequences, and those who seek new solutions survive. Number 5 on my list of my top 10 favorite books of 2018 was The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte. This was a Victober read for me, and I chose Anne Bronte because I've not ever really been a fan of the major works of her sisters, and so I thought I'd give what I think is probably the lesser known, maybe lesser appreciated Bronte sister a chance, and I was really delighted and surprised by this book. So here's my one-sentence review of The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte. Beautiful woman and her child move to a remote abandoned house, inciting rumors and love in the small community until she's found out and returned to a miserable marriage which ends in death but eventually leads to love. And number 4 is a book I just finished by an author who I really enjoy a lot, and that's Honoré de Balzac, and the book is Cousin Bet. I just did a long review of this, so I won't belabor the point. I'll just do my one-sentence review here really quickly. poor spinster cousin vows vengeance against her beautiful cousin's family, destroying lives, reputations, fortunes, political careers, courtesans, and herself, but the family survives by restoring its honor through dishonorable means. My third favorite book of 2018 was Gilead by Marilynne Robinson. I read this book, I think I read this book in August or September. I'd heard a lot about Marilynne Robinson, but I'd never read any of her work, and this was really a great and powerful book, which I think I did a review on, and there's a video of that, so I'll do my one-sentence review now. Congregationalist minister comes to grips with the violent legacy of his father, familial duty, while trying to preserve his own legacy through a letter to his son. My second favorite book of 2018 was Tim O'Brien's In the Lake of the Woods. This was just a really engrossing, enthralling, psychological thriller kind of a read, which I've talked about several times, but I didn't do an actual review of because it was difficult to talk about it in any detail without I thought giving away too much of the plot or my own kind of feelings about the resolution to the story. So here's my one-sentence review of In the Lake of the Woods by Tim O'Brien. Husband and wife escape political humiliation by going to a remote cabin on a lake where the wife disappears. The husband's past and his psychological damage he suffered are revealed, but did he kill his wife? I'm not sure that's one real sentence, but there you go. That's the best I could do with the fairly complicated plot, non-linear plot. And then my favorite book of 2018 was Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. James Baldwin was a revelation to me. I bought this copy of Go Tell It on the Mountain decades ago, obviously in a half-price bookstore, and just never got around to reading it. I read this as a part of the People of Color Readathon, which took place I want to say it took place in August, and I was just really completely blown away by James Baldwin's writing, the power and the raw emotion he could capture on the page and put into the story. And I'm going to read more James Baldwin in the coming year. So here's my one-sentence review of Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. African-American teenager in the 1950s Bronx comes to grips with a violent, hypocritical preacher father, his family's past, his own sexuality, and God. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 books of 2018. Now, obviously, those books were not written in 2018. I forgot to say this at the beginning. These are just the books I read in 2018 that were my favorite. Anyway, let me know what you think of my list. If you have any thoughts on those books, I'd really love to see them in the comments section below. And let me know what you think of my mostly one-sentence reviews. Thanks for watching.